Tonight we're going to be talking about yet another reason to delay drawing trump, and that is trumping in dummy. So as always, I want to remind you first, right? You always want to concentrate on making a plan before you start. Okay, so you're in a trump contract, opening lead is made, dummy comes down, and you start working through your plan, right? Always work through your plan. How many tricks do I need? I need 10 tricks. How many tricks can I afford to lose? Maybe I have to lose 3 tricks. And then count your losers before you play the first trick. That's the habit I want you to build. Even if it's a singleton, even if you have to play it, before you play it, count your losers. Work through each individual suit, right? And decide, how am I going to play this suit? How am I going to play that suit? Which suit has potential for more? Which suit do I need to avoid? What suit do I need to throw away, right? And once you count your losers, well, then you can think about, well, what am I going to do this first trick? Can I get in now? Can I get in soon? What am I going to do? And once you get in, the first question I always want you to think about is, am I going to draw trump? Should I draw trump first, right? And the answer should either be, yes, I'm going to draw trump first, or you need to have a reason why not. You need to be able to say, I can't draw trump yet because this. I can't draw trump yet because I need trump for something. This week, we're going to work on situations where I need to use some of the trump that I will run out of if I draw them. So if I draw the trump, I'll be short of trump I need later. Okay, so I'm going to use them for a purpose. And don't forget, while you're working through each suit, right, look for the things that you work on to establish tricks. There's length, promotion, finesse. Those are the building blocks that we work with to try and get you to understand, you know, how to play each suit as you go along. Okay, so I promise I won't do that more than 2 more times, but there's only 2 more classes, so I'm serious about it. You can probably tell, right? Tonight, whoops, too far. We're going to talk about trumping and dummy. All right. So when I say trumping and dummy, I'm really sort of using a shorthand phrase because what I really want to say, I'm simplifying the idea of trumping in the shorthand, because most of the time when you have a trump suit, you know, if you're dealing with a 5-3 fit or something that you open a major, you're talking about a major suit. You have 5 in your hand and you have 3 in the dummy. So the long trump hand is going to be your hand, right? Not always the case, but generally speaking, the long trump hand is your hand. The shorter trump suit is in dummy. Okay, so what I'm really talking about to get extra tricks is trumping in the shorter trump hand. It is possible for these 2 things to be reversed. For instance, in a transfer auction, if you open no trump and your partner transfers the hearts, well, his hearts are probably going to be longer than yours, in which case you wouldn't necessarily be trumping in dummy, you'd be trumping in your hand, but the concept would be that you're trumping in the shorthand. Trumping in dummy is just something that we say, and you know, I want you to be able to recognize the concept that's going to happen most of the time, which is you're going to have long trumps in your hand, short trumps on the board. Okay. So what do we mean by that? What do we mean by trumping in the shorthand? Well, what I'd like to do is try and get you to understand that trumping in the shorthand will result in extra tricks. It will take care of losers in your hand that you need to take care of. So on the left-hand example here, right, you have a trump suit of 8 cards, right? You have 5 cards of the ace, king, queen in your hand, right? Declare. You have 3 little cards in dummy, right? But you have 8 of them total. So you expect that this suit will divide 3-2. And if you played ace, king, queen, you would draw all the opponent's trump and your 3 and your 2 would be good. So ace, king, queen, 3-2. That will provide 5 tricks for you in this suit. If you were able to, before you drew all the trump, rough 2 cards in a different suit with the 5 and the 4 in the dummy. If I could rough 2 cards in the dummy before I drew trump, I'd make a trick with the 5 by trumping something. I make a trick with the 4 by trumping something. That's 2 tricks, right? And then I still, when I draw trump, I will play off the ace, king, queen, drawing all the opponent's trump and the 3 and the 2. And so by roughing with the 5 and the 4 in dummy before drawing trump, I generate 2 extra tricks for myself. I rough 2 losers out of my hand, right? So I will do 2 tricks better than if I had drawn trump first and ended up with 2 losers I couldn't do anything with. The contrast for this is I want you to understand that trumping in the long hand doesn't produce any extra tricks. So I've given you the same suit on the right. You still have 8 of them. You still have the ace, king, queen. You can still draw trump in 3 rounds. You could still trump with the 3. You could still trump with the 2, and you would win those. You could win those tricks. But the total tricks you would win this in this suit would still only be 5. You play off the ace, the king, the queen. The 3 and the 2 you were going to win anyway. Okay. Trumping on the dummy side, trumping in dummy will generate extra tricks for you. Trumping in your hand does not produce extra tricks because you were going to make those trump on length anyway. Okay. Not only does it not help you to rough with the 3 and the 2 here, it will sometimes hurt you because what you are doing is you are weakening your trump holding without gaining anything for it. So if you trump with the 3 and the 2, and then later you play the ace, king, queen, and you draw the opponent's trump, yeah, you've taken 5 trump tricks, but what you've done is exhaust the trump in your hand. So you have no method perhaps to get back in if your opponents are going to run a suit against you. So roughing in the shorthand, trumping in dummy, good for you. Right? Generates extra tricks, still leaves you with the long, powerful suit to draw trump with. Roughing in the long hand weakens your long, powerful suit, doesn't generate any extra tricks for you. Okay. Just to illustrate that sometimes the long suit is in dummy and sometimes the short suit is in your hand. Assume you had a transfer auction for this one, right? So you've transferred the hearts. So declare is south here. South has 3 little hearts and north has the ace, king, 3, queen, 3, 2. But the lesson is the same in that if you can trump twice with the 5 and the 4 and then play off ace, king, queen, 3, 2, you will end up with 7 tricks. So you will get extra tricks by roughing with the 5 and the 4. By contrast, on the right hand side, same thing. If you rough with the 3 and the 2, you actually weaken your trump holding and you do not generate any extra tricks. All right. This is a concept I find that people have trouble with at the start, is that trumping in the shorthand, they think that trumping is trumping, right? And trumping always generates extra tricks because, you know, you roughed something. That's not the case in the way this works. Because you count your losers in the long hand, though you're not worried about the extra length of cards in the other on the other side of the table. So you're only counting losers in the hand with the long hand. Roughing those losers is what will make a difference to you. Just because you can rough something doesn't mean that you should. All right. So how does this work and how do we recognize this? How do we see that this is going to be part of our plan? Basically, what you're going to need is you're going to need a suit that has some imbalance to it. It's going to be longer in your hand and it's going to be shorter in the dummy. So dummy's going to run out of cards in the suit before your hand, and therefore you have extra cards in your hand that you can trump in the dummy. So when you make a plan, you're going to have to think about, okay, I need to rough these things, right? The one thing I will say to you is that until you actually trump something, it counts as a loser. So you can look at your plan and you can say, hey, I'm going to rough 2 hearts over there. But don't look at hearts and say that I don't have those losers, right? I'll show you that in a second. The other thing you have to keep in mind is that since the dummy hand is the shorthand, since it has fewer trumps than in your hand, you may have to delay drawing trump so that those trump remain over there. If you have tons of trump between the 2 hands, sure, you can draw trump and still have things to rough, right? But if you don't have tons of trump, you're going to have to manage, when am I going to draw it? Do I have to rough something first before I draw the trump? Okay. So in these example exercises, we're going to be counting losers in declarer's hand. We're only looking at one suit here, right? So I have in my hand, I have the ace, the 3, and the 2. So I have the ace, that's a winner. I have the 3 and the 2, those are losers. What you want to recognize here is that dummy has a singleton in this suit. And if dummy has a singleton, well, my ace will take that one. And then I could trump something with the 3. I could trump the 3 with a trump over there. I could trump the 2 with a trump over there. Okay. So my plan on this case, I have 2 losers. I have 2 losers in hearts, but I can trump them possibly in dummy, assuming dummy has trump. What I don't want you to do, I don't want you to look at this and say, oh, I'm going to rough those. Therefore, I have no heart losers. Until you trump them, count them as losers. Keep them in your head. Put them in your plan. Because you might look at that shorthand in your head and say, oh, good, those are roughed. I don't have to worry about it. Until you do it, hasn't happened, they're losers to deal with. Example 2 there. All right, I gave you the king, but I gave you another card in dummy here, right? So we have the ace. Ace will take 1 card in dummy. King will take the 2nd card in dummy. The 3rd one, I have no corresponding heart in dummy. So I could rough the 3rd. I have 1 loser in this suit, and I can trump it in dummy with trump, right? Similar position, except in this one, I only have the ace. So when I count my losers in my hand, I have the ace and I have 2 more. So I have 2 losers. Looking at dummy, I see I have 2 cards in the dummy. So there's an imbalance there in that I only have 2 cards in dummy. I have 3 in my hand. That 3rd one can be roughed in dummy. Before that can happen, though, I have to lose one, right? So I'd have to play the ace. I'd have to lose one. And then when I got back in, I could play a 3rd one and trump it in dummy. So my plan would have to account for the fact that I have to lose a heart here, right? Still, you know, I have shorter in dummy than I am in my hand. Therefore, I can try and trump something. But in order for me to get there, I have to lose one here. In exercise 4, well, I haven't given you any high cards here. But I have 3 losers in my hand, right? So when I count my losers, I have 3 losers. If I can play 3 rounds here, so I lose one, right? That takes care of one of dummy's cards. I get back in, I lose another one. That takes care of one of dummy's cards. I play the 3rd one, and now I can trump it in the dummy, assuming that I still have trump and dummy at that point. Okay? So my plan here, I can rough one, but I got to do some work on this one, right? It's going to take me a little time. And we've seen circumstances where you have to lose some tricks before you can get what you want done, right? Especially when you're dealing with length, setting up length tricks, you have to lose a few so that the opponents run out of it. Now here, I'm not losing them so the opponents run out of it. I'm losing them so that dummy runs out, right? So in order for me to make this work, I have to lose a heart, then trump a heart in the dummy. Exercise 5, similar concept. When I count my losers here, I have 4 losers in my hand, right? But I have a singleton in dummy. I have to lose 1. I could potentially, if I had enough trump 3 of them in dummy, right? You won't always have enough trump to get that done. Also, what I will warn you is when you lose a card, lose the trick in this suit, let's say you win the lead in another suit and you play a heart and you play a little one from your hand and you play a little one for the dummy and there's a singleton in dummy, the defense is going to look at that and they're going to say, hey, wait a minute. He's going to start roughing hearts and dummy and they're going to start playing trump for you because they want to cut down on the number of times you can trump something in dummy. Okay. So from a defensive perspective, if you think declarer is going to rough something in dummy, your best choice is to start leading trump for him because he wants to delay until he can get his roughing done. And you want to stop him from getting his roughing done, right? Example 6 there. So when I look at this suit, I have 3 cards in my hand. Now I have the king in my hand and I have the queen in dummy. So king, queen together, you should be thinking promotion. Good, I can promote 1 trick, right? The queen will force the ace or the king will force the ace and the other one will be good, right? And then on the 3rd round, I would be able to trump it because dummy would be out. So your play in this suit might be something like, I leave the 2 from my hand to the queen and dummy, and the next person wins the ace. And then I get back in. I play the king. This is the second round. It takes the second one out of dummy. And then I play a third one and I trump it. Okay. Sometimes people run into trouble with this because they look at the king and the queen and say, okay, well, when they take their ace, my king and my queen will be good. But if they're smart, they will wait until their ace goes on top of either your king or your queen, and then you only get one. Okay. So you have to plan to trump one, but you'll have to lose one. So I combined here promotion with trumping a loser and dummy. Your last example here. Well, looking at Declare's hand, I have 3 hearts to the ace, right? As a matter of fact, I have ace queen. When you have ace queen together, you should be thinking finesse, right? So if you're thinking finesse here, you have to lead first from dummy. Finesses are positional, right? You lead from dummy. You hope to trap the king in east. He plays a low card. You put in the queen. You hope that it wins. If it wins, then you play the ace. At that point, dummy's cards have been exhausted, right? You've removed all of dummy's hearts. And the third heart can now be trumped in dummy. Alternatively, some days the finesse loses, right? We've seen that. You lead a heart. They play low. You put in the queen. You hope it wins. It doesn't win. But if you get back in later, you can play the ace. It still takes the second one off of dummy. You play a third one and you trump it. All right. So in this case, I might not lose any tricks in this suit if I can get it done right, right? I take the finesse. If it wins, I cash the ace. I trump the third one. No losers. On the other hand, I take the finesse. It loses. I lose 1. If I run out of trump and dummy, if I never trump 1 in dummy, I'll lose 2 tricks in this suit. Okay. So, you know, the finesse, the promotion, to a lesser extent, length in this circumstance is you're going to be sometimes combining them together. Okay. All right. So let's look at some examples here. An example A here. Our contract is 4 spades, right? So 4 spades. We need 10 winners. We can afford 3 losers, right? All right, good. Let's take a minute, run through and count our losers. Looking at spades. I have 8 spades. I have the ace, king, queen. I shouldn't have any spade losers as long as I break, right? Good news. Hearts. In south hand, I have the ace and 2 more hearts, so I have 2 heart losers. But looking across at dummy, I don't have the king or the queen or anything useful like that. What I do have, though, is a singleton. So because I have a singleton opposite my ace, 9, 8, I can win the ace on the first trick, and then I could rough a heart in dummy with the 3, and then I could rough a heart in dummy with the 8, right? And then I could draw trump. But I couldn't draw trump first. If I play off the ace, king, queen of spades, there's no more spades in dummy, and I have nowhere to put the 9 and the 8. Looking at diamonds, I have the king, queen, jack of diamonds opposite 3 little ones in my hand. Diamonds, I'm missing the ace. King, queen, jack, you should be thinking promotion, right? All right, so I'm going to lose the ace, but I can promote the other 2, so I'll only lose 1 diamond. Clubs. I have the ace of clubs and a little one, so I have 1 club loser. I have nothing to do with it, so I'm resigned to losing a club, right? You're going to lose tricks. It happens, right? So I have no spade losers. That's good. I have 2 heart losers because I have to trump them. I have to lose the ace of diamonds and I have to lose a club, right? So can I draw trump first on this hand? No, I can't. I can't draw trump until such time as I trump my 2 heart losers. That's going to be my plan. Okay. After I trump my 2 heart losers, then I want to get trump drawn. I want to get the trump out of their hands after I have used mine to my purposes. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch over to the other package and I'm going to run through this for you. Okay. So Contract is 4 spades. Opening lead, king of hearts, right? And our plan is we're going to try and rough 2 hearts. So I win the ace. And I lead a heart immediately. And I trump it. I have to get back to my hand. Now I have 2 possible ways back to my hand. One is the ace of clubs. And the other is I do have 1 extra trump over there, right? So I can go either way. But only 1 trump at a time, because I still need to play my 9 of hearts and trump it, right? I have now done my plan. I have roughed 2 hearts and dummy. I have to get back here so I can finish drawing trump with the ace of clubs. I play 2 more rounds, watching the opponents to make sure that they follow suit. Trump are now drawn, right? And now my plan was to promote diamonds. And if my plan is to promote diamonds, I'll knock out the ace. And maybe they don't take the first one. I persist. Maybe they take the second one. And they can take their club. But I have a good diamond and good spades left. Okay. So they lay the king of hearts on this one, right? And the important thing is I rough 2 hearts in dummy, trumping in dummy, generating extra tricks for me, taking care of 2 losers before I draw trump. If I were instead to draw trump first, and I know I hammer you about drawing trump first, then when the time came, I could get all the enemy trump, but the time comes to play hearts and I have nothing over there to do anything with it, right? So I would end up losing 2 hearts on this hand. So trump your hearts before drawing trump on this one, okay? Switch back here. So let's look at another example. On this one, I have reverse things on you. So the king of spades is led. Your contract is 4 hearts, but is by south, right? So the long trump hand is north. The short trump hand is south. So let's take a minute and run through all our losers. Since the long trump hand is north, that's where you should count your losers. So you have 1 spade in north, opposite the ace. You have no spade losers. Okay. Hearts, I have ace, king, queen, jack, 10, 9, so I don't have to worry about those. Diamonds, I have the ace and 2 more. Now looking across, I have the king over here, right? So I have ace, king. That'll take care of 2 of them. The third one, south does not have a 3rd diamond. South, I could conceivably rough that 3rd diamond in the short hand, right? And if I can rough that diamond in the short hand, I will take care of a loser. Clubs, I have king, queen, jack. I have 8 of them. So king, queen, jack, you should be saying to yourself, promotion. I'll promote, knock out the ace of clubs. And hopefully, as long as they break 3-2, my last club will turn out to be high. There's no reason to worry about clubs before I draw trump. That can be done afterwards. Before I draw trump, though, if I'm going to trump a diamond, I want to trump a diamond in south. Okay, so that's going to be part of my plan. So let's switch over, and I'll show you how that works. All right. So opening lead, king of spades. So my plan was to trump a diamond. I'll play the king. If you hear Megan's voice in your head saying high card from the short side, you're right, that's it. Playing a diamond to the ace. And I'm playing a 3rd diamond. And I'm going to trump it. Now, I will say this. You have, in the dummy, you have the king, queen, jack, 10, 9. Those are more than sufficient for drawing trump. So when you trump over here, trumping in dummy, you should consider trumping high if you have the assets to make it worth it. If I rough with the ace here, nobody can overrough the ace of trump, right? And I am never worried in this circumstance about being able to draw trump because I have so many high trump over there. So when you are trumping in dummy, if you're worried that they might over rough something, trump high. I've roughed the diamond. Now I'm going to draw trump. And when I play my second trump, lo and behold, what happens? They don't break. Uh-oh. But I still have plenty. So this guy had 4 of them, right? But I can get them all. And then my plan was to knock out the ace of clubs, and all my clubs are good. And if he plays a spade, I can, because I have hearts left, trump it. Okay. So that's the way the plan should work on this hand. The short hand is the hand you want to trump in. Diamonds are short in the short hand. So you can play king of diamonds, ace of diamonds, trump a diamond. What I don't want you to do is look at this hand and say, oh, look, I have the ace of spades and I have a singleton spade. I can rough spades. Yes, I agree, you can rough spades, but it is not going to generate extra tricks for you, because you could rough a couple of spades over there, okay? But you still only have the 5, right? Trumping spades in the long hand doesn't help you, and as a matter of fact, it hurts you. So what happens on a hand like this sometimes is people say, oh, well, roughing is roughing. Roughing makes good tricks. That's not the case. Roughing in dummy is extra tricks. Roughing in your long hand weakens your ability. So maybe I go over to the ace and I say, good, I can rough another one. So that's even better than diamonds. I could only rough 1 diamond, but now I rough 2 spades. But look what happens. Now when I try to draw trump, this guy's got more trump than I do, doesn't he? I have weakened my trump holding to the point where it is no longer functional. And my opponents, when they get back in, will be able to win a spade later or win an extra heart later. Okay. So when they get in with the ace of hearts, I can't stop them from taking a spade, can I? I have no trump left. All right. So I'm just trying to impress upon you that roughing in the long hand is detrimental to control. Some days it doesn't hurt you, right? And some days it is necessary. There's nothing in bridge that is always or never. But when you're looking at this hand, look for the long trump. Long trump are in dummy on this hand. Short trump are in your hand. Look to see if you can trump something in your hand. Diamonds you can trump in your hand. So if you trump a diamond and you play this hand, you'll end up losing only 1 trick. And you'll make 6 and you make 2 over tricks. If you rough a couple spades in your hand, you are going to lose at least 3 tricks. Now, losing 3 tricks will still make your contract. But when you're playing duplicate, making your contract with 10 tricks or making your contract with 12 tricks makes a big difference. Okay. And in other circumstances, it could make the difference between making your contract and going down. Okay. So roughing in the long hand, bad. Roughing in the short hand, good. All right. So let's look at example C here. Opening lead, Jack of Hearts. Contract is 4 spades. Looking pretty good. I need 10 tricks. I can afford to lose 3. Running through my losers, now looking at spades. Spades are solid. I don't have to worry about spades. Matter of fact, I have some extra stuff there, right? Hearts. Well, they led the jack. So right away, that's to your advantage because you have the ace queen and you play last, right? So they led a heart into your ace queen. You're going to take, if they play low, you'll win the queen on the first trick, the ace on the second, right? If they play the king, you win the ace on the first trick, the queen on the second. Either way, you are guaranteed these top 2 heart tricks. But I have 4 hearts to deal with, right? So I have 2 extra hearts here. What am I going to do with them? Well, looking across at dummy, dummy only has 2 hearts. So the 3rd and the 4th one here, I could trump over in dummy, right? I have shorter hearts in dummy. I have longer hearts in my hand. I could try and rough these 2 hearts. Diamonds. I'm missing the ace, but I do have the king queen. I have a couple of diamonds and the king queen. I have to promote one, but I'll end up losing the ace of diamonds only, right? king, queen, think promotion. Clubs. Clubs, you should think, well, I have the ace, I have a little one, so I have a possible loser with the king. But I have the queen jack over there. And you should be thinking, queen jack, ace, I could possibly finesse this, right? If you could lead the queen from dummy and trap the king in east, you could possibly get 2 tricks. But if West is king, then I only get 1 trick. It's 50-50, right? We'll see. So looking at my losers, I have no spade losers. I have these 2 little hearts on the end here, and I want to trump them in dummy. That's part of my plan. Diamonds, I'm going to lose the ace. Clubs, I'm going to try a finesse for the king. So maybe I can get rid of the 2 heart losers by trumping. Nothing I can do about the ace of diamonds. Clubs, I'm going to try a finesse. Maybe I can get rid of that one too. Can I pull trump or not? Well, I have 9 trump on this hand. So there's 4 for the opponents. So they might have, they might break 3-1, right? 3-1 is the odds-on choice here. If they break 2-2, sure, I could draw 2 rounds of trump and then I could rough a couple of things, right? But if they broke 3-1 and I drew 3 rounds, there would only be 1 spade and dummy left. And I want to rough 2 things. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is sort of a combo. I'm going to rough 2 hearts and I'm going to draw trump at the same time, and I'll show you how that'll work. All right. So go back over here. So opening lead, jack of hearts. So as I showed you, it doesn't matter whether he plays the king or whether he plays low. I get the first 2 heart tricks. And then my plan is to go ahead and trump these other 2 hearts. So I'm going to lead a heart. He's going to play. Now, the other thing I want you to look at here, just like on the previous hand, you have the ace, king of spades over there. You have the queen, jack, 10, 9 in your hand. That will suffice for drawing all the trump, right? So there's no reason to take a chance, and there is a reasonable chance on this hand that somebody might be short in hearts. As a matter of fact, he is, right? You can rough with either the ace or the king. I don't care. Ace is flashy, king understated, your choice. But don't rough with the 3 or the 2. So I've roughed one of my hearts. I need to get back to my hand. Easiest way back to my hand, I'll use a trump. And then I'll play another heart. And having watched carefully on the first time, I make sure that I trump this one high as well. And then I have to finish my job of drawing trump. Right? All the trump get drawn. So I roughed 2 hearts. I drew all the rounds of trump. And now I turn my attention to the other suits. Diamonds, I had the king, queen, so I'm going to promote a diamond. Clubs, I'm going to finesse the club, right? I'm going to try and pick up his king. In order to do that, I need to be in dummy, right? So I'll play a diamond. Let's say he ducks it. I win it. I'm in the dummy. Well, that's where I wanted to be to take my club finesse. I play the queen. And if he wins the king, if he plays the king, I win the ace. If he ducks it, I would have played low. And now my jack is good. And I'll lose the club. So the diamonds and the clubs are just sort of peripheral. I still want you to keep thinking about, promotion, about finesse, about all that. What I want you to see on this hand is that you can rough 2 hearts and dummy, right? Based on the opening lead. Whatever he plays, you can rough 2 hearts and dummy. And because you have such high trump in both hands, you should trump them high. Okay. So don't be cheap with your assets. You are in control of your cards, right? You know what the best thing is to play. And if the right thing to do is rough with the king or rough with the ace, that's what you should do. Okay. A lot of times we get into this conservation mode when we're playing, right? And we never want to play a card higher than necessary. And as a defender, that's not necessarily a bad thing because you're trying to hold on to things until they get good. As declarer, that's the wrong attitude to have because you get to control, you know what's in your partner's hand. You know what the assets are between both hands. So you want to make wise use of all your honors, right? So the wise choice here is rough with the king, go back to your hand, wolf with the ace, and never take a chance of losing a trick. Okay. Once that second heart cashes, you're home free on this hand because everything you're doing is with high trump. All right. Let me pop back here. One more to look at. All right. So on this one, contract is 4 hearts, right? Opening lead, king of diamonds. 4 hearts, 10 tricks, 3 losers, right? Let's take a minute and run through our losers. And we're going to have some more losers on this one. Spades, I have 3 spades in my hand. I'm missing the ace, but I do have the king and the queen, right? So when you have the king and the queen, you can think to yourself, promotion. King goes into the ace, queen is a winner, right? But I have to lose the ace for that to be true. The third one, I can trump the third one in dummy because dummy only has 2 spades. So I'm looking for that imbalance between the 2 hands. The suit in my hand is longer than the suit in dummy in the short trump hand. So my plan on this hand in spades is going to be, I'm going to promote 1, I'm going to win 1, and I'm going to rough 1. So I'll end up losing 1 spade if all goes well. Right now I have 2 losers till I get that done though. Hearts, I'm missing the ace. So if I'm missing the ace, I have 1 heart loser. Diamonds, I have the ace and I have a little one. So I'm expecting that I'm going to lose the diamond. Not much I can do about it. It's just going to happen. Resign yourself to it. Clubs, I have king, queen, small, opposite the ace. So I have ace, king, queen. I don't have any club losers, right? So heart loser, I'm going to lose the ace of hearts. Nothing I can do about it. Diamond loser, I'm going to lose a diamond. There's not much I can do about it. Spades. Now I still have to lose the ace, but what I have to avoid is I have to avoid losing that 3rd spade in my hand. I have to trump that 3rd spade in the dummy. So the question you should ask yourself is, can I draw trump? And the answer is no. And the reason it's no is you may think to yourself, well, I only need 1 trump over there. I could draw a couple of rounds, right? The danger is once you start drawing them, your opponents might be helpful and finish drawing them for you, right? So if they get wise to the fact that you might trump a spade over there, they're going to say to themselves, uh-oh, I got to get those trump out of there, right? So even drawing 1 trump, probably going to be too dangerous on this particular hand. Let's see how that works in action. I'll show you how the defense can stop you on this particular hand. Okay. So opening lead, king of diamonds. We look at it. We're going to win the ace, right? Our plan is to rough that 3rd spade, and we should get started on that right away. In order for this to work, I have to play and I have to promote 1. So I'll play a spade to the king and he wins the ace, right? And he might play a diamond back to his partner or something because his partner led diamonds. And then they might try a club or something, whatever they try, right? You win it. You play the queen of spades, okay? And then you play a spade and you trump it. It doesn't really matter which one but you have good ones. So just in case somebody can rough it, you know, the 9 is equivalent to the queen on this one. I have now roughed my 3rd spade. And now I start drawing trump. He wins and he tries another club, whatever he tries, right? I win and I finish drawing trump. And everybody lives happily ever after. That's if we do it right, right? So right away, I attack the spades. I don't give them a chance to hurt me with the hearts. What if instead, though, I said, maybe I'll play 1 round of trump and maybe it won't hurt me. So let's say you win the ace of diamonds. You say, I'll be wishy-washy. And instead of working on the spades, I'll do one of these. All right. And they let you win it. All right. then that's fine. But now when you try and play your spade, this guy's going to look at you playing spades, and he's saying, "Uh-oh, there's only 2 spades over there. I'm going to try and take away those hearts before he can play them. I'm going to play a heart. This guy wins it. This guy plays back his 3rd heart, right? And the fact that you started playing trump and you allowed them to play trump for you, I now am in, and I can play a spade to the queen, but what I cannot do is I cannot trump a spade. It's going to lose. Okay. I lost my opportunity. So this is going to be hard for you to see sometimes. Can I draw 1 round? Can I draw 2 rounds? Can I draw 0 rounds before I get started on it? As a general rule, unless you have plenty of trump over there, you're best off trying to get your trumping done before you draw any rounds. That's not to say everything is going to be always, right? You're going to have to incorporate your plan based on your entries and what you need to do. Okay. But just as a warning, when you start looking like you're going to trump things in dummy, the defense is going to look at that and say, uh-oh, warning, danger, Will Robinson. I'm going to play trump. I'm going to take the opponent, my declares trump away from him.